morning, Gateway Rotary. It's going to be another exciting morning. Here we go, ready to get started. And since he decided to volunteer, Jeff Bob will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Excuse me. Just say I.
I
pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Jerry Farmer, could you lead us in the four-way test, please?
Of course I can, President
Say that.
Lynn, right? The four-way test are the things we think, say, and do. Rotarians first.
Is it the truth?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it
Will
build
goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And fifth.
Is it fun?
Yeah. Thanks.
No clapping? Is it fun? Come on, guys. Here we go. Man, I thought it was Wednesday morning. What's going on here? All right. All right. Quick show of hands. Who knows what Romper Room is? Romper Room, the show. Remember that one? Remember when they'd be looking into the camera and they'd be saying, I see this person and I see that person. And I kind of feel like that here, but I don't get to see the people at home. And I think I get some negative feelings because they never saw Lenny. I was like, come on, see Lenny, and they never called my name. So I'm looking at home and I'm saying, I see Felix. How you doing, Felix? And I think Felix isn't he one of our people that are welcoming people today? But I think he's probably at home. So everybody else that I might see at home, great to see you there. So anyway, wanted to do a little bit different on our Think Rotary, and we've been talking about this to give recognition to different folks and different businesses. But I want to kind of do it a little bit different, and let's recognize an industry. And there's a lot of different industries that we have, and I'm trying to think out there. So who's involved in the banking industry? I want to see some hands go up. If you are involved, financial, banking, anything that's on the financial and banking side. So real quick, if people could just jump up and say where they are. Go ahead.
I'm at Timberland Bank.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Back, Mr. Mike.
I'm retired Columbia Bank.
Retired Columbia Bank. Go ahead. Credit Union. Yes, sir.
Ditto.
What bank is Mr. Rowe, where are you from?
Edward Jones Investments.
All right. Did I miss anyone? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Salisbury Wealth Management.
Awesome.
Nice.
So there yes.
I owe lots of banks lots of money.
You always have that guy in the front row that you got to sit there and take care of. No, thank you. So I thought it was good because, again, the intention of all this is that we have name recognition, we have company recognition, and then if you need some sort of service, you need something, if you're looking for a mortgage, a loan, you want to do some personal investing, you're going to sit there and hopefully call these folks instead of going to Google. That's the big intention, and that's the push by this. So thought that we would kind of do a little bit different that way. All right, well, we're going to go right into our foundation minute, and I'm going to skip reading it. I'm just going to hand it off to our very dear friend. Let's hear it for the foundation chair himself. Let's hear it for Nate.
Nate.
I'm not sure, trying to educate on the foundation. When you give $1 to the Rotary Foundation, you get $1 back in Rotary Foundation points. And these points are your opportunity to give as incentives or gifts. So sometimes at other clubs, when people, it's their birthday, someone will gift them, 100 points or 1,000 points to bump them to the next Paul Harris level. And so these points are an opportunity to really recognize and encourage giving to the foundation from member to member. And so that's how I got my first Paul Harris, is Tom Carroll bumped me up. And then earlier this year in November, we were nominating people each week to recognize them for giving and recognize them for their talent and talent and time in the club. We would use foundation points to bump them up to recognize them. So that's just a food for thought.
All right. Thank you, Nate. A great topic, and I'll use that as my little romper room moment yet again, and say hello to Nita back home, because Nita was giving the chocolate bars out, and she was giving some of her points for those that were giving a certain giving level. And again, so hi, Nita, and hope you're doing well back home and recovering. All right, I'm going to move right into, so we had a board meeting. And I want to give one of the things that I promised at the beginning of the year. I'm just going to run down some of the high-end items from the board meeting, so you know what's going on in the club. and you're aware. So we had a board meeting for February on January 30th, yeah, you heard that right, to accommodate a few schedules, including mine. Action items were taken moving forward with the Foundation Committee's recommendation for funding the following organizations from proceeds from the 2019 BBB. Homeless Backpacks, South Sound YMCA, PAC 9307 and Troop 9307 of Boy Scouts of America, Grub, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington, and Lacey Maker's Space. We'll be recognizing these organizations in the upcoming meetings, and that'll be an exciting time when we bring out the big checks. The board voted to amend the annual budget for shifting $375 from the Youth Services Committee and allocated it to support the RILA program, and that's another part of our youth. So it was basically a shift in budgetary funding, but certainly funds that'll be helping Nathan out and what we're doing to help out with the kids. Other highlights of the meeting included establishment of an exploration committee to evaluate scholarships. We talked about President-elect Janine Azell. She'll be heading to President-elect training later this month. We continue to support Read Across America, and you're going to hear more about that later as part of our commitment to literacy. The posting of more socials on Club Runner, and great shout out to Crystal on the social committee. They're doing a great job. They're a brand new committee that's doing all that. Where am I? An upcoming Club Runner 101 for the club is going to be offered. I think this is a real easier way, because I keep saying sign up, sign up. Well, you might not be able to sign up because you don't know how to sign up because you don't know how to use Club Runner. So we're going to have a little Club Runner 101 really to help engage everybody so that they're able to partake in some of the great committees that we have. We talked about the merits of different types of membership options and the preparation for a discussion on the benefits of a Gateway Rotary Foundation 501c3. We're going to talk about that next week. Thank you to the board for their flexibility and continued support. The next board meeting will be on March 4th. So with that, I'm going to move on to our induction part of the meeting. This is an exciting time. We always love to see new members come in here. So let's hear it for the membership chair. Let's hear it for Shannon Glenn. Shannon.
All right, if I could have Eric, Martin, and Karen Barr join me up at the front, please.
Hi, Karen.
Is it the truth? All right, so this morning we're going to be welcoming Eric to our club. Eric is with Timberland Bank, and I have a feeling he's going to tell you a couple more things about himself.
I'll try to keep it to about a half hour. I've been at Timberland Bank out in Osterberg for coming up on 21 years. So 21 years ago I had jet black hair and no beard, so you wouldn't have recognized me. My wife is a paraeducator at Reeves Middle School. She'll be teaching there in probably about a year. Got 2 kids in Olympia High School. What else? I grew up in Oregon, so I'm sorry, that means I'm a duck.
Ducks, go Ducks.
All right. There's a couple ducks in here. So other than that, I appreciate everybody welcoming me into the club. And it's great to be here.
All right, fellow Rotarians, if you could help me welcome Eric to our club.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, you know, and that is really one of the most exciting parts of being a club president, is you get to welcome new members. And isn't Shannon doing a great job as far as getting people on board? Let's hear it for Shannon. Fantastic job. Thank you so much for that. All right, without any further ado, we're going to move on to our main program. And it's my great pleasure to welcome, who are you today?
You pick.
I pick? Okay. You want to be Jerry Farmer? No, no. Let's hear it for our Vice President, Amanda Bay.
I'm going to be bipolar by the end of the day. Okay, it is today my pleasure to introduce to us Jaycie Osterberg. missed the T the first time, didn't I? Jaycie was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest in Port Angeles. She earned her degrees, a BA in social work and a master's in public administration at the Evergreen State College in Olympia. Go Gooey Ducks. Jaycie has worked for Quixote Community since June of 2015, starting as the case manager and then becoming the program manager and eventually the executive director. As the executive director, she engages in local and regional community advocacy, fundraising, and volunteer efforts, oversees organizational development, monitors the budget, and is the project manager for the building and implementation of their 2 new villages. She believes housing is a basic right and that everyone deserves a place where they belong. Jaycie received the Thurston County Homeless Housing Hero Award in March of 2019 for her work at the village and the community, and the Homes First Heroes for Housing Award in October 2019. Quixote summary is that Quixote Communities owns and operates Quixote Village in Olympia, a permanent supportive tiny home village for chronically homeless individuals. Once residents move into the village, they are no longer homeless and they are provided a space to recover and heal. Quixote's unique model offers support from staff as well as built-in peer support groups with residents helping residents. Quixote has seen many successes and are currently in the process of building 2 more villages for homeless veterans in Pierce and Masons County. For more information, please visit their website at www.quixotecommunities.org. Please welcome Jaycie.
Yeah.
Good morning. Hi. I'm gonna try to take this off. Okay, here we go. So first off, thank you so much for having me and Amanda for inviting me. This is really great. I'm always so impressed with Rotarians and the commitment that you make to meet every single week. And all the organizations that you guys help, it's just really admirable. So thank you for all that you do in our community. I'm here today to talk about the nonprofit I work at, Quixote Communities. And I know that there's a lot going on in the news about homelessness and what's going on and that it's getting worse and all these things. And so I just wanted to come and talk about what we do as an organization in this community. So I heard down is up, so or next. Okay, got it. Okay, so first off, to kind of describe our organization, hi Trudy, it's nice to get kind of a history. And I'm guessing, have people heard of Quixote Village before? Some of you? Okay, great. So we started actually as a camp, as a tent city back around in 2007. And it was kind of as a response to the criminalization of homelessness. And so folks were camped out. Actually, this is the first spot, kind of by the Brotherhood downtown. And the police officer said, "Hey, you can't stay here. This is, public property." And so they were going to get evicted. And with that, they actually, the homeless folks themselves and some advocates went to a local congregation, a church, and said, "Hey, can you offer us sanctuary here?" And which is a religious organization's right to do so. And so they made the big decision to say, "Yes, we will host you on our parking lot." And so that was kind of the beginning of our camp. And so we were a camp for about 6+ years. And so one of the stipulations of being a camp is that it couldn't be permanent. And so these folks had to pack up and move all of their belongings every 60 to 90 days. And so this is really where we got a lot of community involvement. It was pretty amazing. I wasn't there, so I can't take any credit for it, but we really had to work together to, pack everyone up and move them across to the different city, to Lacey or to Tumwater, to different churches. And so if you can imagine, there's about 30 folks in each camp having to get everything that they own, all of their possessions, and moving it every few months was just a huge task. It was huge. It was not sustainable. And so the residents of the camps themselves and the folks in the community said, this is not sustainable. We need some sort of permanency, someplace where you can actually stay and live with dignity. And so that's kind of where the idea came up. They worked with the camp residents themselves. It was self-governed. They really wanted to have whatever the homes that they were in, be designed by them and be part of them, because that's kind of what they were doing there. And so they came up with the tiny house village, because in the camp they had really become family with each other. They got to know each other, they moved together, they lived together. They didn't want to really lose that, so they wanted to still live together, but they wanted their own place still, and they wanted to have their own ownership, their own home, where they weren't sharing, a wall with someone or people up above them or below them, have their own space, but they still wanted to have that community. And so this is what, after many years of fundraising and campaigning and whatnot, this is what we kind of got. And I'm sorry, it's kind of blurry blown up, but this is kind of an aerial shot of the village here in Olympia. We're about a half mile from SPSCC on the west side. We have 30 homes, and we also have a community building. And that was something that was really important to them. Like I said, they didn't want to lose that sense of community that they had with each other.
Is it sunny in that picture?
What's that? Yeah.
Huh.
Yes, actually, it is, huh? So that's our community building. And yeah. And so this is kind of what we got the breakdown, because I know there's other tiny house villages popping up, and people kind of sometimes get us confused, because most of those are emergency shelter, which we need emergency shelter, of course. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do want to say we are permanent housing. So folks that live there are no longer homeless. It has all utilities and whatnot. So there's kind of a bullet points of what we have. So I mean, they have full heat and electricity. They have a bathroom in their unit. It's fully furnished. There's Wi-Fi. That was a huge one that residents really wanted, because that's really a necessity nowadays. And then in our community building, I have some photos. We have a large kitchen, kind of like a double kitchen. So 2 ovens, 2 stoves, 2 dishwashers, 2 sinks, things like that, and then a bunch of fridges that everyone shares. So in their homes, they actually do not have a kitchen or a shower, and so those are in the community building. And that kind of increases the sense of community as well, because they have to see each other all the time. So these are just kind of some shots of what we look like. This is our dining hall / living area with a nice fireplace in there. And then this is kind of an outside view of what we're looking at. So basically there's the community building, and then outside there are the tiny homes. And this is what it looks like, just an example of what one looks like inside. We also have tours open to the public every third Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. So if you're wanting to come see what the village looks like, we are open to do that, and welcome to have folks come check it out. So we are not just housing folks, we are also providing supportive services. The model that we use is technically permanent supportive housing. So we have full-time staff on site, and these are just kind of some things that we offer. Our case manager works full-time and works one-on-one with each individual on whatever they're needing. So if they're wanting to go back to school, or get their GED, or if they need help enrolling in benefits, or if they want to go try to gain employment, whatever they're needing, we will help them with. And a huge part of that also is care coordination, is helping them find a doctor, helping them find a mental health therapist or a specialist, and coordinating that with them. We have transportation on site as well too. We have a van so we can take people to appointments and help make sure that they get there. So really not just having them housed, but having them thrive and achieve their goals, but whatever that means to them. And another big part of what we are recovery housing, and so we do strive to have a clean and sober environment. That is also another thing that our residents wanted and asked of us. We used to, allow alcohol and things of that sort, but after a while, residents came to us and said, hey, you know what, that's not kind of what we want here. We are in recovery and struggling, and it's tempting, and we don't want to have that in our community. And we said, okay, yeah, this is resident choice, this is your community, and so we made that decision to be recovery housing. And so we help folks who struggle with addiction get into treatment, or help them with meetings, whatever they're needing, we help them in their recovery. And then I just have some nice photos that I'd like to show. So the village is a really family-friendly place. I know some people get kind of scared of oh, there's this homeless place, I don't want them, not in my backyard or things like that. But we are really a family-friendly place. We only house actually single homeless adults without dependents, but we do have folks that have families and have children or grandchildren that come to visit. And this is one of our Halloween parties, which is really fun, that we hold annually. And the kiddos just get to go from door to door to each little tiny house, and it's just a really fun event that we have. Another like health and wellness thing that we do, we go on walks together when it's nice out, of course, so it's not all the time, and go around, you know, Capitol Lake with folks. So we're really trying to have a holistic approach to health and wellness and helping folks kind of recover from the trauma of being homeless. And then just another nice photo I like to show. And so another big part, this is a photo of our Village Life Committee. In the tent city, they, like I said, are self-governed, so they had like a president, a vice president, a treasurer. It was kind of like Survivor, where they would like vote people off. If someone was like caught using or not following the rules, they would evict them. They obviously can't do that now because there's landlord-tenant laws and confidentiality and things like that, but we wanted to still have them have that power and that voice of it being their space. And so we created the Village Life Committee, and that is voted on from all of the 30 residents, about 5 or 6 residents, and they work on kind of policies. They meet weekly, with staff, and go over what's going well, what's not going well, how can we change things like that, because they're the ones that know it best, so the ones that are living there. And then they also have a small budget where they do events like the Halloween party, they put those things on, as well as a chore rotation. So we don't have outside custodial staff, it's all in-house. And so all of our residents, that's kind of another part of like ownership and accountability, is they all do some sort of chore to make sure that the place looks good and nice. And then this is just a nice little story that I like to tell, and please tell me if I'm talking too long as well too, because I know you guys have time constraint. The woman in the middle holding the award, her name's Erin Long, and she's given me permission to tell her story. I always say that first. She lived in the village. She was one of our original residents, is what they call themselves if they moved in opening day. And she was severely addicted to methamphetamines and had been for a majority of her life. And part of living at the village was that that's not a thing, that's not okay, right? But we're not, if someone just uses, we're not like, okay, you're out of here. That's not how we work, that's not the business that we're in. So we work really closely with folks of like, okay, how can we help? And Erin was one of the last folks that we thought was going to be able to turn it around. And she, you know, finally we got to the point where like, hey, like you're gonna lose your housing if you don't, you know, if you're not able to quit or be in recovery. And so finally, with the help of our case manager, she was able to go to treatment. She passed treatment, was a treatment patient, came out, was doing meetings and whatnot, and really turned around. And then she became a huge leader in the community. She was on the Village Life Committee. She did the chore rotation herself. She managed that, really became a leader, and had that support from other people. There's the peer support too, which I think is really strong in our community. A lot of those individuals have similar lived experiences and can help each other out with recovery from substance use or just from recovery of being homeless in itself. And so Erin, actually, this is a couple years ago, she received from BHR, the Behavioral Health Resources, the Phoenix Award, which is a few individuals get it every year of people who are kind of like coming up from the ashes and beating or working on their recovery. And so she was able to get that award, and that's just a photo at the ceremony that we were able to go to with her. It just means a lot to us. And now she's actually she just on Monday had her 5 years of sobriety, which is really amazing. And she was able, yeah, it's really cool. And she's going to SPSCC, she has a full-time job, and she was actually able to move out of the village and have her own apartment. And so we're just really proud of her, and now kind of a full 360, she's now on our board. And so we're really happy to have her and have her opinions and knowledge and experience. So that's kind of a snapshot of one of our success stories and some of the stuff that we do with folks. And then I don't know if we have time for a video, it's like 5 minutes long, we can skip it.
Don't have 5
Don't have 5 minutes, that's fine. And so there's many ways to get involved. I know you guys do your fundraiser, and so I don't want to distract from that or anything, but besides, you know, financial support, there's also a lot of ways to volunteer and be a part of our community. We recently had to, we used to have meals every week with folks, and that was a thing that we had during our meetings, and it was a nice thing that we were able to do. And now with budget cuts and how tight funding is, we had to cut that out of our budget. And so now we're reaching out to the community to see if they want to host a meal It could be a one-time thing, it could be a monthly thing. We have some groups that are doing it already, but we're constantly needing folks throughout the year to help offer a meal. And that can look like whatever you're wanting to, but you can come and spend time with folks. This is a photo that the Girl Scouts just came out last month and had pizza with people, and it was really fun. But yeah, and there's also a ton of different volunteer opportunities. We have folks come out that have different life skills. We have a yoga teacher that comes out. We have budgeting 101 sometimes, different life skill things. And then also there's, you know, landscaping and all that fun stuff that we need help with as a small nonprofit. I just want to say again, thank you for having me. That's kind of just a little summary of who we are and what we do. I can leave some cards with Amanda if you're interested in reaching out. And thank you, and open up for any questions.
Jaycie, did I hear you mention veterans? Are they a part of this program, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't even mention that. So we are currently building in Pierce County a 35 tiny house village specifically for homeless veterans. And then we are not as far along in Shelton. We're going to be building a tiny house village specifically for homeless veterans as well. But the one in Olympia is not specific to veterans. Yeah. Yeah.
What qualifies people to get in, and what qualifies people to get out?
Absolutely, yes. So eligibility is, and so we get project-based vouchers from the Housing Authority, so we pretty much go through their eligibility. But basically 18 and over, we aren't able to house folks that have an active warrant or are lifetime sex offender registration. And then we do drug tests, so they have to pass a drug test as well. I'm trying to think what else. They have to literally be homeless. That's another thing as well. And so we go through the coordinated entry system, which is Thurston County's system of housing homeless folks. And so basically it's a priority-based list. And so the most vulnerable folks go on the top of the list, and we house those folks. So we're housing really high needs, vulnerable folks that do need the supportive housing. And then in order to get out, to move out is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of our people, about 50% of our folks are on SSI or SSDI, and that's about $750 a month. As we all know, that is not enough money to rent an apartment or a studio or anything like that. So what really helps a lot of our folks who aren't able to work is we have that partnership with the Housing Authority. If they are on or living with us with a voucher for a year, then they're able to have a portable Section 8 voucher, and they're able to take that wherever. And so that's the main way that folks are able to move out. But we do have some folks that move. Family reunification is a huge one. We've seen a lot of people rekindle their relationships with family and move back in with family. Or we've seen people like Aaron who have gotten jobs and move on that way. But some people, this is their forever home, and that's fine with us too. Some people, for whatever reason, have barriers or obstacles in the way that prevent them from living independently. Yeah.
Jaycie, so my church was involved with it early on at First Methodist Church.
Oh yes, thank you.
And my wife and I used to help a lot with that. There's another great success story. I don't know if you know Jamar Hoppa. Jamar was one of the original.
I know.
He's now full-time CNA and doing wonderful. But we used to have them come over and do some painting and yard work. Do you still offer that as a?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have folks that call in and say, hey, I'm moving, can someone help me for a couple hours? Or yeah, with painting or landscaping. So yeah, if you have some yard work that needs to be done, we definitely have some folks that would like to earn some extra money. Thank you for that. And I'm sorry, I can't keep track of who's next. Go ahead.
It seems like a very successful model. And is the cities of Tumwater and Lacey looking at villages? I mean, we have such a great need, and we're looking at all these different options. And you're talking about other cities outside of our area. Is there anything planned for locally here?
There's not anything specifically planned. We are pretty busy building the other two, but I'm from here, and so it's kind of my goal and dream to build in Thurston County again. I would love to build something in Lacey, but it's not currently in the plans. They do have the tiny house village that's emergency housing, the Plum Street village that's down there, but I don't know of anything that's more permanent, no. Not at this time, unfortunately. but there is going to be a new, they're working on having a new shelter, and as well as 60 units for permanent housing on Martin Way, actually, I believe. But again, it takes a while to build affordable housing. We've been in the permitting process for like 2.5 years in Ording, so it takes a while, which is a bummer because we need some now. Yeah.
What do the residents do about medical crises or medical challenges?
Yeah, sure. So we have great question. We have our case manager that does a lot of care coordination. We also have, right now we have like a St. Martin's nurse who comes and volunteers as well, but that's one of the first things that we do when we do like an intake. We kind of look at where people are at, what they're needing, make sure they get on health insurance, find them a doctor that takes their insurance, which can kind of be a challenge sometimes, and then make sure that we follow up with them. And we do a lot of care coordination, and then we also have a partnership with the Community Action Council where they have care coordinators that come on site every other week and just making sure that people have the
Transportation from there to the doctor.
Yes, we have transportation. So we have a bus. And now we actually have a bus stop literally right in front of our place that's actually called Quixote Village, which we're so excited about. And now that Thurston County's transit is free, that has opened up a lot of access for our folks. So they have that. We have transportation as well, that staff can take folks. And then some people have their own cars as well too. So they're able to take themselves or they help each other out as well. So there's a variety of different means of transportation.
What's the turnover like, and is there much of a waiting list?
Yeah, so turnover, it really depends year by year, because right now actually we're about to have like 5 people move out all at the same time because they got a voucher and someone else got full-time employment, so we're really excited about that. But usually it's only about 5 to 6 people a year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for us that's a success because that means stability and that people are being able to be housed and we're keeping people housed. So yeah, the turnover is probably like 5 or 6 folks a year. This year is going to be a little bit more for positive reasons, which is good. And then I'm sorry, what was your other question?
Is there much of a wait list?
Oh wait, yes. Unfortunately, there is a wait list. We have over 125 people usually on our wait list at all times.
Yes.
Oh, Vicky, hi.
Does your organization have an endowment?
Oh, well, funny you ask. Yes, we do have an endowment fund. From the Community Foundation. Yes, we do. Actually, we're really excited about that. That just started not that long ago. We had a woman who was able to do the seed money for that, and now we are, yes, we have that. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
So as everybody knows, one of the things that we're very proud of is participating with our PI partner for providing a book signed by our speaker that we give to Pleasant Glade Elementary. The book today is What Do You Do With a Voice Like That? And I was thinking so many different things. One, after your presentation, I thought what was most fitting is it gives these folks a voice. And I think that's a good message. The other part I was thinking is, boy, I wish Len would lose his voice and then somebody else could be up there talking, but that's a different issue. So one more time here for our speaker. It was just a great presentation. Good job.
That Canadian flag.
Thanks so much. Okay, great thing about being the president is sticking to your script. So I always have a script in front of me, and I realized, well, actually got pointed out to me, that I absolutely failed step 1 in my script. So I didn't recognize guests today. So first, I know, boo, the president. So I don't have a list for visiting Rotarians. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? Great, then I'll move on to the guest list that we do have. I can't see that far away, because I brought the guest list up. Madeline, you have a guest.
She wasn't able to attend this morning. Sorry.
Okay, so Madeline doesn't have a guest. Great. Michael Stedman, you have a guest. You don't have a guest.
I do.
Oh,
everybody knows Matt. So.
David, you have a guest. All right, let's hear it for Jewel. And we know it, well, Karen would have welcomed you, Eric, but now you're a member, and then Madeline will be talking to you very soon, so just get $1 ready, just kind of warning you in advance. Are there any other guests that I missed? Christine?
Jenny Hatfield from Farmers Insurance.
All right, Jenny. Anybody else? Good, so we'll move back, fast forward back when we are in the program. And I'm going to ask for a couple people. We're going to have a couple different announcements right now. Let's start off with Megan. Megan, you've got an announcement. Let's hear it from Megan Shore.
Good morning, everyone. Real quick, I got a note from the project manager at the Lacey Food Bank a few days ago, and as a result of all of our hard work in November and January, they were able to get their certificate of occupancy permit for their farm stand. Yes, so they officially are occupied in the farm stand, and they're working now to get everything ready to start building the pantry behind the farm stand. So more to come on that, but a huge milestone that we helped them with on that. I also, I was not able to go to the social last week, but I heard it was an amazing time, and the CPR class went really well. So I hope you all had a good time for those folks who attended. I also have some information from Lori Carroll about the Read Across America event at Pleasant Glade Elementary. That's happening Tuesday, March 3rd. And if you go to gatewayrotary.net and go to the events in our calendar, you'll find that there are some sign-up times. If you want to read to elementary students on March 3rd for about an hour, there are a few slots available, mostly in the morning around 8:30 and 9:30, and then 2 afternoon slots. So there'll be an email sent out for you to sign up for whatever time you'd like to go and read to kids for Read Across America Day to support Dr. Seuss. And there's one thing. Dr. Seuss party at the social, March 5th, next week at Troy Kirby's Cider Barrel. Sorry,
2 weeks.
I just want March to be here, you guys. Pie Day, remember, I'm excited about Pie Day. Thank you, March 5th at the Cider Barrels, our next social. There was one other one. Bring a book, but there was another announcement.
Books are on sale at Target.
Books are on sale at Target. Goodwill's having an amazing President's Day sale. I'm going to be there because you get a coupon after you spend so much money.
If you keep asking me, I'm not going to know.
Bowling, yes, thank you, yes. So I did not send an email out about bowling team because we got our full team solidified. So Kurt Vandeman, Ann Larson, Dr. Heidi, and myself are going to be representing Gateway at the Yelm Rotary Bowling Tournament at the end of March. So we have our team secured. It should be a good time, and we will do our best to represent all of you awesome people in our club.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, not Doug Ma. Very good. And are there any other committee announcements? I didn't get anybody else saying that they needed to speak on stuff. Good, I got a couple. One, if we do have some seats here in the front, or we got some other seats available, folks on the side, just try to fill those in before we move off to the side seating. A couple other ones. Paul Harris Dinner is going to be held on March 19th at Hotel RL. And we hope that you can sign up at paulharrisdinner.com, and I've been sending out email reminders on that. District conference signups should be starting on February 15th. That's what the website says. I've been following it eagerly. Again, please keep on your calendar May 14th through the 16th in Victoria, BC. And this is not Mother's Day. It should be a fun event. Lastly, another fun and exciting annual event will be held on Wednesday, June 24th at 6 p.m. at Indian Summer. That is going to be the installation dinner. It should be a fun time. Usually it's a great time for everybody to get together. Give a lot of kudos out to folks who have done some great work for different committees, recognize the outgoing board and the incoming board. So hope you can partake in that. With that said, I am going to say goodbye to our folks at home. Felix, it was good seeing you. Take care. All you other Rockland friends of ours. With that said,